Hey, this is Jack, and this video is called If You Feel Used or Taken Advantage of, Stop Giving This. Hey, if you're new to the channel or you haven't yet subscribed, I'm Jack Butler. I release videos on personal growth, dating, authenticity, and sometimes worldly issues, and I'd love to have you as part of this vibrant community. Just click subscribe and then tap the bell notification so you hear new videos as soon as they come out. So let's get into today's topic. And first things first, if you've had that experience of feeling used or feeling taken advantage of, that can be a really rough experience. I know in my own life, it's actually one of my least favorite experiences, partly because it can start to undermine all the ways that I might have been showing up in earnest, giving, doing good things for other people, and then you get to a certain point and you're looking at the situation, or I'm looking at the situation, I'm wondering, why am I giving so much and yet I'm kind of having the experience that I'm feeling taken advantage of? So I've been there, and I think I've got something in this video that can help you. So let's get into the essence of what I want to share in this video. So if you felt used or taken advantage of, what is it that you can stop giving? What it is that you can stop giving is you can stop giving people the benefit of the doubt. Now, let's just put this in context. There is something really generous about giving people the benefit of the doubt, and you may in your own life have really appreciated it when people have extended to you, giving you the benefit of your own doubt, right? Perhaps you've made a mistake and someone generously says, hey, it doesn't matter, don't worry about it. Or, I don't know, you found yourself in a situation where you forgot your wallet and someone says, don't worry, I can chip in for you, or where perhaps if there was an explanation of some behavior that you've shown, rather than attributing a bad behavior to you, someone can attribute it to the context and really empathize with the situation you found yourself in. So I'm not saying never give people the benefit of the doubt. What I'm going to be taking issue with in this video is a sort of concretized position, a dominant preoccupation, a default, if you will, to giving people the benefit of the doubt. Basically saying that if you're someone that has this default, that you constantly, ongoingly give people the benefit of the doubt, my sense is at times that you will feel taken advantage of, because people aren't going to show up as sort of lovingly and generously as perhaps you are in orienting to them. And the other reason I want to take issue with this giving people the benefit of the doubt is because it can often be to the detriment of your own intuition, right? Anytime in life that we have this sort of like one sentence default position that we find ourselves in, right? Like, well, I should just give people the benefit of the doubt. It's liable that life is going to show up more complex and messy than your sort of one sentence dictum, your one sentence saying that you can live your life by. Right now, if you're going to choose one thing, something like give people the benefit of the doubt, that might not be a bad one to choose. But I'm saying as we mature, we need to have more than these sort of like fixed positions to actually navigate what is in front of us and actually to see it more clearly. When you give people the benefit of the doubt, you might be overwilling to look that, you, like me, not all the time do we only come from the highest and purest intentions. Right? We all have animal instincts. We all have selfish impulses. We all have unmetabolized experiences. We all have wounds. We all have shortcomings in the way that we see the world, right? So all of those things could be operating when you're engaging with someone, right? What I've seen time and again is when people get hurt by giving the benefit of the doubt, it's actually that they're giving the benefit of the doubt is partly driven by wanting to stay in connection and in a loving orientation to the other person. When you actually strip it away, it could sometimes, not always, but be something like this. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because I don't want to risk not feeling loved by you or not feeling that I am loving towards you, right? So it's almost like in the values stack, love is being given such a sort of elevated place, or a feeling of love, right? Because what love actually is, I think, is sometimes, multifaceted. But I'm prioritizing that, and so that's why I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. It might actually not just be about you. It might be that it's quite a bit about me. Because actually, if I don't give you the benefit of the doubt, what I might do is I might question your intentions, right? Or I might have to take more time to inquire more deeply. Well, okay, this is the third time that you're late. Like, what's actually going on there? Maybe we need to have an uncomfortable conversation. Maybe I need to reveal to you the impact of your being late and how frustrating it is for me, or how perhaps it lowers my self-esteem, or it has me question if this is a good fit here, right? So in a sense, what I'm inviting you to examine is what is underneath giving people the benefit of the doubt. Now, part of it, to be fair to you, is probably that you're a people-oriented person, is that there is a kind of loving kindness and generosity that comes pretty naturally to you, or maybe you've worked at it, but it's like it's available to you in a clear and abundant way, and that's fantastic, right? So we don't want to lose that. We actually sharpen it, in my view. We actually make it more potent if we're not giving people the benefit of the doubt, when actually our deeper intuition is, maybe there's something more here, or actually maybe this is a time that I need to assert a boundary here, or I at least need to get closer to the truth of what's going on. So when you give people the benefit of the doubt, sometimes it erodes at your own sense of value, worth, and esteem, because it's disconnecting you from your deeper intuition, or because even the thought that, hey, maybe this person doesn't have good intentions in this moment doesn't necessarily mean that they're a generically bad person, but maybe right now they are acting kind of selfishly, right? Or maybe they are under-attuned to me and my needs, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt means I'm not actually willing to look at that. Now, here's where this is paradoxical, right? For the people for whom giving the benefit of the doubt isn't their default, a good teaching for them is give people the benefit of the doubt, I imagine. Right? So what do I mean by that? I mean, if actually you don't tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Let's say perhaps your norm is you're skeptical of people, you easily see bad intentions, or you easily imagine bad intentions. You perhaps give the least generous interpretation of reality. Perhaps you say it's just being realist, but actually sometimes it's being scared, and you're couching that in terms of being realistic. Perhaps it enables you to be to not take the time to actually empathize with people, right? Maybe it's easier and quicker pathway in you to be kind of cynical and closed. And it's that kind of archetype, say the realistic, closed, unloving, cynical person, that for you, for whom giving the benefit of the doubt is your modus operandi, that's what you're kind of looking at and saying, well, I don't want to become that, right? I don't want to be an unloving, ungenerous, perhaps cynical person. And so I'm going to stay away from that, right? The reality is you're not going to become this, right? You're so far up this other end of the spectrum that, even getting to here would be a pretty good show for you, right? So sometimes this is where development is paradoxical. We have to learn how to include the energy and perspective of people that we generally perhaps look at and think, that's what I don't want, right? I don't want to be closed. I don't want to be ungenerous. I don't want to be cynical. But the healthy value that is in the core of the realistic cynic is something more like sobriety and discernment. And perhaps we do want you to be sober, and we do want you to be discerning. And when you constantly give people the benefit of the doubt, perhaps you're not in touch with your own discernment, right? What about if you discern to give someone the benefit of the doubt, right? You look at it and you say, yeah, actually, it's really rare for this person to show up, chronically late. That's fine. They had a hard day today. That's fine. It's not just a default, right? And one clue to notice if this is operating or not is that if someone weren't to give you the benefit of the doubt, that you might get quite upset about that, right? Because you're operating in this framework, we give people the benefit of the doubt. When someone else perhaps doesn't extend that to you in the way that you feel is due, you start to feel, hard done by, upset, perhaps you kick up, perhaps you now regret some of the ways that you've oriented to them. And you might say, well, Jack, wouldn't the world just be a better place if we all were going around giving people the benefit of the doubt? Well, I think that's a partial truth. Like, I kind of get it. Like, to say, let's put it this way. We all know from studying psychology that most of us have a self-serving bias, right? So we have an attribution bias in our own direction. Many of us. Some of us actually, we don't have that, and that can lead to kind of like low self-esteem because we actually don't give ourselves this attribution bias benefit. What do I mean by attribution bias? I mean, well, when I make a mistake, I notice the context, right? So I can easily give a contextual explanation, right? Yeah, the reason that, I don't know, the car ran out of gas is because I've had such a chronically busy week that it would be unreasonable to expect me to be tracking that. Something like that, right? But when you do it, it's probably because you don't care, because you prioritize other things, because, I don't know, you don't notice the detail, or you expect someone else to do it, right? So you see how this kind of operates. It's mostly we're a little bit more generous to ourselves. You know, for example, how often do you see people post on Facebook say, 50% of people are so stupid, or 90% of people are so stupid? And it never seems that they're imagining that they might be in the 90%, right? But if you look at any kind of metric, most of us are going to be, not in the top 10% of it, right? It's just kind of how it is. So, some people could grow by actually being a little bit more generous, right? Not being sort of just cynical, realistic, and actually offering a more generous explanation as to why someone might do that. But for those of you watching this video for whom giving the benefit of the doubt, why am I talking about this? Because, it's perhaps had you attract people into your life that haven't been good for you. Perhaps it constantly has you feel disappointed, right? When you have to get a little bit more sober about people, that people aren't only just kind and loving, right? That we're also short-sighted and selfish in certain ways. Perhaps at times we're even greedy. Maybe at times we're even at times we're even malevolent, right? Like, I think just part of being a more mature human at times is realizing, we kind of run a spectrum. We're not always our highest and finest. Any of us, myself included, if you saw me at my worst, you would think I was a terrible human being, right? I think that's just a little bit of a truism in my experience. But the point here is I want you to be able to bring your loving kindness into the world in a way that doesn't have to blinker off so that you only see certain things, because out here it so competes with your worldview that there's no way to hold it, right? There's too much cognitive dissonance, and therefore what you do is you give people the benefit of the doubt, but eventually it comes kind of back to bite you because you couldn't look here. You had to be blinkered because that's the only way that kind of kept your worldview in place. Does that make sense? Also, if you're going to be given the benefit of the doubt, it's sometimes useful to let people know that that's what you're doing. So that perhaps it comes a time where you want the benefit of the doubt, people are actually aware that you've kind of been operating that in their direction, or at least weaving a little bit more shared reality with someone. So if this is your thing, that you tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, what would it take for you to bring more sobriety and discernment? What would it take for you to realize that humans are a spectrum and the human in front of you may be operating from that spectrum? And here's the real kicker. What would it take for you to not only have this kind of generous benefit of the doubt orientation in your own direction, right? Because what it may also mean is you need to come to terms with your own authenticity. And your own authenticity may include the places where you actually don't just feel love or kindness, or the places where you are offering love and kindness, quote, but underneath there's actually something different, right? Maybe you're pissed, resentful, hurt, upset, angry, loathsome. Right? These are all human experiences that any of us pretty much are going to be having at least a fraction of the time. What is your relationship with them? Because this could be offering you a portal to your own self-love in a much deeper way than you've experienced it. Because sometimes when you don't give yourself the benefit of the doubt, you get a little bit more sober and discerning about yourself. You might notice, actually here, I'm a little knotted up. Over here, I'm really not that generous. Over here, I have years where I feel like this person's taken advantage of me. And actually, when I tap into it, I'm downright angry about it. And that you can love and accept yourself at the same time, right? So where this really goes is you get to be a more full-blooded human being who's capable of greatness and who's capable of pettiness. And you can love yourself through the whole thing. And you can therefore more easily love someone who's actually is in the spectrum as well, right? So you can love them not only when they're in their highest and finest, but also maybe when they're in their most petty or meanest. That is part of the equation of being a human being. And I don't have to disconnect from my own truth, sobriety, and discernment in order to do it. Does that make sense? So it's like I can actually see you more clearly and love you more at the same time. Because I don't have to have my love for you predicated upon, I really love you only when you meet this sort of generous interpretation that I've given you, right? So maybe I've pedestaled you in some ways, and I think you're this amazing person, and I think you're awesome, and blah, 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 and maybe you are. But when you're not that, I sort of have to like sweep that under the rug a little bit because there's too much cognitive dissonance. It doesn't fit with my view of reality. So then I just sort of give you the benefit of the doubt. But then when that kind of comes back to bite me a little bit, or comes back to, just I end up feeling taken advantage of, then I could have perhaps prevented that because I could have been in a more sober view of what was actually happening all the time. And I could also be in this more sober view of myself. So I get to be realistic, that sometimes I'll feel engaged and sometimes I'll feel disengaged. Sometimes I'll feel kind. Sometimes I'll feel tight or I'm generous. That's actually okay. I don't have to be the sort of love-worthy version of myself all the time. I can actually love myself through all versions of myself. Right? So much of the personal growth world, we're sort of trying to be this best version of ourselves. And underneath that sometimes can be, and when I'm that best version of myself, I can love myself most fully. And what I'm saying is most of us are a bit of a mixed scorecard. And what would it be like to love ourselves through the mixed scorecard? That's the opportunity. So I'd love to know what you're making of this. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what is your experience of giving people the benefit of the doubt. How's it gone? How's it not gone? How have you felt taken advantage of? Leave me a comment. Let me know. And an invitation, if you're a woman who dates men, I'll also put the first link under this video will be my He's Your Guy checklist. And this really is a sobriety checklist. So if any of this material has resonated with you, I just encourage you to download this because it's just a sober assessment about how much a guy is investing in your direction. I want to help you make that assessment. All right, leave me a comment, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for being here. As always, I'm Jack.